Okay, so thank you so much, Mordy, for your help there.
Sorry.
Um, we're gonna be chatting today with the incredible, the fantastic, the amazing Fabrice Canel, who is the principal product manager from Microsoft Bing. We are so pleased to have you here. Thank you for joining us today, Fabrice.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And Fabrice is joining us all the way from Microsoft HQ on the West Coast of the United States. So thank you very much for joining us. And we are just going to go through a couple of housekeeping slides. My name is Crystal Carter. I am the head of SEO communications here at Wix, and we are joined by Mordy, my co-host, my tech support, my partner in crime,
Slide sharer extraordinaire.
who is sharing these slides as well. And Morty's going to be going through the questions. We've had lots of questions today. So a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, yes, this webinar is being recorded. You will get a YouTube link to this recording later on, and you will be able to also see the slides later on as well. You are now familiar with the chat, and you are also maybe seen the webinar Q&A down at the bottom right next to the chat there. Please feel free to ask questions there. We have folks answering questions there as well. So do check that out. And also please be aware this is our first webinar of 2023, but it is the first of many. There will be lots. We're really pleased to have Fabrice this time, but we'll have some more fantastic guests coming throughout the year. So that's great. In terms of agenda, we've done the introductions, we've done the housekeeping. Mordy will also give us a little shout out for the SEO plug, SEO or the SEO hub, as he always does before we get going. And we will have Fabrice give us some information on IndexNow and indexing in 2024. And then I'm going to answer a few questions about indexing and Wix and some of the tools that we have there for you. And then we're also going to get into some other additional questions. I think lots of people have added in questions for the Ask an Expert, and we're gonna pull in a few of those and also some questions from the Q&A. So with that, Mordy, was there any parting words you'd like to add before we get going?
No, I just want to remind everybody to check out the Wix SEO Hub, where you can check out our podcast, Surfs Up, our newsletter, Searchlight, and Crystal's Baby, our brand new SEO resource center. You get downloadable checklists, cheat sheets, toolkits, and templates under the new resource center. So check those out.
Fantastic elements galore. So with that, we're going to stop sharing our screen, and Fabrice, we are going to hand it over to your incredible, capable hands.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. Let me share my screen. We'll do this here. Okay. Can you see?
Yep.
Great. So today we'll do a few minutes to tell you a little bit about IndexNow in the context of AI and SEO, obviously. And so first of all, I've got the privilege of working on search at Microsoft for the last 26 years, a very, very long time. And as a search veteran, my mission is really to create the world's best index. And we measure that in terms of comprehensiveness, freshness, richness. In short, I am downloading the internet every day. And if your relevant website, if your good quality website is missing from the big index, I failed. So what you see is really this internet copy where we have to do the copy in-house within Bing of the internet to power kind of the blue links of Bing. But you should not forget that this kind of platform we are having is also powering Bing Chat, Bing Copilot, advertising, everything. So what you should care is having indexing right, make advertising successful, make chat and Copilot successful, make multimedia successful. We used to say that SEO is dead. It's not true. SEO is on steroid this day. By having a good indexing pipeline, be able to get the relevant content index, make all of everything at Bing and other search engine successful. So next is, I will briefly tell you a little bit of what matter in this AI era. And what really matter is that as you can modify the content and to adjust to your customer needs and to adjust also to your competitors on SEO, you should really make sure to have the ability to index your content in a real-time fashion. You should not wait for search engine to catch up with your content. You should order the search engine to get your content in. Second is that you should continue to focus on your customer, and you should try, learn, repeat over and over to find the best way as SEO experts to get your content indexed, to get your content to try new things, and to get your content ideally at top position. So the key is really to stop call guessing. This is what's happening with search engine over the last kind of 30 years. You have a website like this beautiful Wix website, and you have search engine and a crawler here. And what search crawler is doing is really pinging the website once a while to see if there is a change down on the website. And then maybe there is a new links somewhere on the page. And so we are coming again to see, did you change any new links, or simply to verify if a link is still valid, is still up, are you a dead link type of things. And I want to share that it's kind of the old century technology. And now you have the ability to do far better than that. And this is all about stop call guessing and taking control of a crawler to ensure high quality index in search engine, not only at Bing, but also elsewhere. So what we did, search engine came together to offer an IndexNow API, enabling you to really ping the search engine, to notify the search engine, hey, please come to visit me. Basically, the crawler is coming to pick up the latest change on your website and reflecting this content change within the engine. An API, you ping it, hey, I change, the crawler is coming, and again, this content is reflected in the search engine. So IndexNow, this is a new protocol. This is 2 years old protocol. And what we see is we see a rapid expansion of this protocol. Every day, more than 60 million websites are publishing on the IndexNow API, corresponding to 1.4 billion URL. And this is corresponding to 12% of clicks at Bing in new content index at Bing. And so 12% of the links are already powered by IndexNow. So many search engines have adopted, more are coming, especially in 2024. You will see that far more search engines are adopting IndexNow because we do believe that this is a good technology to really change the game, to go away from this crawler, I guess, thing, to release something that is telling search engine what change. So IndexNow start to be supported by content management system, more in the future. We have plugins available, or you have a simple API that you are called if, unfortunately, you are not on content management system or Wix. So encouraging you to adopt content management systems that are really stellar for SEO, such as Wix, that has IndexNow integrated, or else you have to pay the price of installing a plugin. And if you're on your own, you can call the API to get your content indexed. This is just a small overview of we are collaborating with content management system to have them adopting IndexNow. And again, things will move in 2024 to have more of the whole ecosystem adopting IndexNow. There is also a lot of top sites, eBay, LinkedIn, and others that have adopting IndexNow. We will communicate a little bit over the following weeks to show you that really the whole industry is moving toward adopting IndexNow. So IndexNow help for faster indexing. It help in terms of authority, making sure that your latest content that you really care is indexed in search engine. If you publish something, in general, you have made on a new press release, a typo, something, you really want to get this content indexed in search engine. You really don't want to go having nightmares, sleeping bad, because when search engine will be aware and come to pick up this content, this has to stop. You want to go to sleep and having a good night, and you want this content to be indexed in search engine. Obviously, you care about relevance to be able to retrieve the best quality content. And so having the content index obviously will trigger that this is this is important for search engine, especially when you are competing with other websites. Let's take the example of news content. If you are not number one, in general, you have very little chance to be number one, because the first one will capitalize, we attract all the clicks, links, everything. And so clearly be a first matter. And then this is also helping search engine to lower the crawl cost. Because by having the stellar signal, we are little by little, we want to move faster, but we are to really minimize the crawl of other techniques we have to discover if your content has changed on the site. So again, why IndexNow? This is to take control of your SEO game with real-time indexing. This is very, very important. To adopt IndexNow, you have a protocol website that is indexnow.org. Please visit it, or you have bing.com/indexnow, or simply you have to use Wix Premium, and Wix Premium is doing everything for you. So that's my presentation. This was just an overview of IndexNow, how this is working, and the value for the customer, and I give you back the presentation.
Thank you so much, Fabrice. So if people aren't aware, IndexNow is something that has been around for a while, and it was recently introduced to Wix in this autumn, and we've seen a lot of great uptake on that. Fabrice, can you tell us, this IndexNow is something you've been working on since the beginning, yes?
Yes, we spoke to a lot of search engines to come together to solve a real problem. This is this problem again of knowing what changed on the internet in terms of added, updated, or deleted content. And IndexNow is the solution, real time, an open solution where you notify one search engine, you notify all search engines, helping the whole industry to get aware of what's happening on the internet and minimize crawl load on plenty of websites.
Exactly. So I think that for people who aren't familiar with this means essentially that for Wix users who have IndexNow, and for other folks who are using IndexNow, as soon as you publish something, the IndexNow does the work. In traditional crawling, you as an SEO would have to do a lot of that legwork, but with IndexNow, it tells the search engines what's going on. And I think this is something that will become more important and as the web evolves in this sort of new AI era, and things. And Mordy, I can see you want to jump in on that.
I just want to chime in really quick to address some of the questions and the comments. If you're using Wix Premium, it's built in, it's native, as Fabrice mentioned. You don't have to do anything. Wix does it for you. So we're telling Bing, hey, this page is either new or this page made a change to their content. Come and check it out and crawl it, or crawl it again if it's a old page that made a revision.
Yes. And I think that with that, I think maybe we can jump into a little bit of that on some of the Q&As that I've got. There are some of the FAQs that we get a lot here. Thank you so much. So the first one is for some people who might be new to some of these concepts, and for anybody who's fully aware of these and that don't worry too much. To the next one. So what's the difference between indexing and ranking? This is a question that as an SEO I get asked a lot. Fabrice, I'm sure that folks ask this to you a lot as well. The way I like to describe it is so there's kinds of Fabrice covered this as well, but when we think about crawling and indexing and ranking, Crawling, if you think about it like a record, making a platinum record, becoming like a hit record or something, crawling is essentially like the DJ like listening to the record, finding the record in the, or finding the stream. I'm saying records, I'm dating myself, but finding the music online or wherever. Listening to it is like indexing, right? Okay, this is something that I know exists, right? I've figured out that it exists, and then ranking says, okay, this is so good that this is now top 40. Now you can be crawled and not indexed, right? So somebody might hear the latest Taylor Swift song, but they might not want to add it to their playlist, right? But you know, if you can't be the top song on the charts if you've never been indexed, right? So you have to get played, crawled. You have to get listened to like a lot, so index, and then you have to get ranked. So these are the processes. So if you go to the next slide for me there, Morty, thank you so much. So yeah, indexing is a process of collecting and storing information from the web. Search engines find indexable pages after they are crawled or submitted via IndexNow. And ranking is when, and the next one there, when search engines order the pages in their index according to the relevance for certain keywords, queries, features, etc. So when you're thinking about, some people say, you know, how come I'm indexed but I'm not ranking? Well, sometimes you will rank for some things and you won't rank for other things. And some things, sometimes not every page will be ranked. Pages will get indexed, and sometimes they ebb and flow. So the index will grow, will shrink, and certain features will be emphasized, and things like that. Which is why when we talk to people about ways you can be indexed, one of the things that's really important to think about is increasing the kinds of media that you have to reflect the kinds of media that you see across the SERP, for instance. So if you're seeing that there's lots of images for the kind of content that you're making, it makes sense to add images to your content. If you're seeing that there's some video, it makes sense to add video. And so there's things like that to think about. And there's other elements of the SERP features that you might want to consider as well. For instance, if you're on Wix, you also get something called structured data for a lot of important types of SERP features. And on to the next one. Okay, so another one. How can I see which pages are indexed? This is also another question that we get asked regularly. And there's essentially 4 ones that are go-to. You can use SEO tools to help you see this a little bit as well. But one of the things we use is search modifiers, which I'll explain what that means. The Wix site inspection tool, which if you're a Wix user is built into your Wix SEO tools and is a fantastic resource. You can also check your webmaster tools, which Wix is connected to, and you can also check dedicated feeds. So we go to the next one. So search modifiers, these are kind of like cheat codes for search engines. So if you go to Bing or another search engine and you type in site : and then the name of your website, your domain name, then it will pull up. If you go to the next one, it will pull up something like this. So you will essentially only get the ones that search engine has for your URL or for your domain. And it'll tell you essentially the number of results, and then it will also tell you which pages that it has indexed. If you have no tools available to you, if you have a low amount of tech, like let's say you're just on a mobile and you don't necessarily have your full laptop set up, this is a great way to just get a quick sort of bird's eye view of which pages are on there. It's also useful for checking if you have recently migrated a website and you want to make sure that the domains are the right ones, then this is also a useful one to check. So you can check on your domain and you can see which ones are the ones that the search engine are seeing. Fabrice talked about some of the lag that happens with search engines and it's sort of traditional crawling. And one of the things that IndexNow is trying to do is trying to sort of reduce that lag. So sometimes when you migrate a site or even when you launch a site, there can be a bit of a delay with which pages will come through. And so it's worth checking this. So if you just launched a site, you might want to check this straight away and then maybe check it a couple of days later. And then maybe check it a few days later after that to sort of see how the progress is going. You should see if you've got good internal linking throughout your site. You should see this number increase, and also if you have the right pages being indexed, because not every page needs to be indexed. So if we go next, dude. Okay, so the next tool is the Wix Site Inspection tool. If you go into SEO tools and then go down to Site Inspection, you can see some great tool, or you can see this tool here. Mordy has a great write-up on the Wix SEO Learning Hub all about how to use this. It has a video as well, which shows you step-by-step how to use this and which things work with it. And essentially what you can do is once you are connected to have completed the Wix SEO setup checklist, then you can use this and you can run this through Google search engine to see which pages are being indexed on there. And it will give you lots of information about which pages are indexed. So there you see valid, warning, invalid, unspecified, and that's telling you the status update of whether or not the pages are valid on the search engine, which means that they're recognizing them. In terms of status, they're talking about URL is known to Google, submitted and indexed, crawled, discovered, indexed, and not submitted in sitemaps. So it will tell you lots of different elements about it. And then they talk about different things about visibility. So, mobile visibility, other issues around things around schema markup and things like that. So this one's a great tool. The other thing that's worth looking at is your webmaster tools. So within the Wix SEO setup checklist, you have the ability to connect to Google. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later, but that also makes it really easy to connect to Bing. And if you are taking your SEO seriously, I highly recommend that you connect to Bing's webmaster tools because they have a fantastic set of tools available to you, and they are completely free. So this is a great place to look at your indexing. And if you go to the IndexNow section, then if you have a Wix website, then you can see that the sources show as Wix, which means that every time you're uploading a new page, it will show you when it was last submitted, and so it will show you when the site was published and when it was submitted to Bing via IndexNow. So you can see whether or not something was submitted today, whether it was submitted yesterday, that sort of thing. So this is a great place, a great resource for you. There's a couple of other resources here as well. So the other thing that you can see in the Bing Webmaster Tools is if you go to Site Explorer, you can filter by indexed URLs. And then you can see exactly how many pages on your website are being indexed. You can see their impressions. You can see lots more information there, and they break down which ones are there as well. If you're trying to figure out which pages are most important for indexing, it's worth looking at that list to make sure that only the pages you want are there. One of the most common things we see, and I've seen other folks talk about this as well, is pages that shouldn't be indexed being indexed. So things like if you, for instance, on Wix, if you create a shop on Wix, there will be a few sample pages there. Make sure that those are not indexed when you go live. Another thing that happens a lot is that people will have staging pages, and I see this really, really common, not just on Wix websites, on lots of other websites as well, but people will have staging pages and they have, people in the team that don't actually exist. Or they'll have like, oh, this is a, hello world or lorem ipsum and all that stuff. Those pages, Fabrice is smiling as well. You've seen this too. So those pages should not be live on your website. They should not be indexed. So just make sure that any pages that are live on your site are the actual pages that you're ready to launch, and that you're ready to have indexed. I think that when people worry about indexing trouble, so people say, oh, my pages aren't being indexed, make sure you clean up your crawl first, right? So don't waste the time that Google's crawlers or IndexNow are spending looking at your website on pages that they don't need to look at. So if they're staging pages, if they are draft pages, if they're pages that aren't ready yet, don't have those indexable. Use your Wix SEO tools. There's a little toggle button. You can say, don't make this page ready for search engines, and use those to make sure that you clean up your crawl. The other thing that's worth looking at is within your webmaster tools. For instance, on Bing Webmaster Tools, you can see exactly how many pages they've discovered. And you could also compare that to how many pages they have discovered via their sitemap. So for instance, you can see here, I can see that my sitemaps, and I can see that there's 2 sitemaps here. I have 2 different types of sitemaps here. The first one is the blog feed. Every Wix user has a full HTML blog feed, RSS feed, which you can also submit to Bing Webmaster Tools and to Google. This is great. It's very similar to IndexNow in that it pings, it lets them know as soon as and it updates as soon as you add to it, and it's really easy for it to crawl, and you can use it in lots of different ways. The other one is your sitemap, which is your standard sitemap there. And so that you can also submit to there and make sure that you're seeing that. Now, what you want to think about is making sure that the number of pages that you have live on your sitemap matches the number of pages that you want to have live online. So make sure that that makes sense. And similarly, you can see that in Google Search Console as well. And that also gives you lots of information there. And it tells you when your sitemap was last submitted and when it was last read. Now you can see that my sitemap was last submitted on the 21st of January, but it was last read on the 19th of December. Now that might mean that I need to resubmit it. But if I haven't changed my content, then the chances are that I don't need to resubmit it. So that's something to think about as well. The other thing to think about is dedicated feeds. So a good example of this is Google Merchant Center. Within your Wix settings and under marketing integrations, you can see the feed for Google Merchant Feed. And this is something that is a dedicated feed specifically for products. And these can help you with indexing specific types of content. So for instance, if you have a shop on Wix, or then you will want to use this feed and to connect to this. So essentially, you click Get Data Feed, you get a little code, and then you can go into Google Merchant Center and you could submit your feed. If you click Next there for me. So yes, so there you can see that I can see that there are 69 different items that are live within Google Merchant Center. And if this matches the number of products that I have live on my site, then that's great. If it does not, then that's something that I need to go through and make sure that those pages are the right pages, that they're actually live, that the products are listable and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, so here's a few tools that Wix has to help you with indexing. So IndexNow, again, this is something that you don't have to do anything. And this is something that is built in. It's available for all premium users automatically, and it's something that will update IndexNow as soon as your page changes. So this will connect you to Microsoft Bing. This will connect you to Yandex, connect you to Naver, and it will also connect you to other search engines. And this is something that is being used by all of our Wix users, and you don't have to do anything. Just enjoy the benefits of this fantastic protocol. Thank you, Fabrice, for all your fantastic work. And if you'd like to know more about that, we have an article on the Wix SEO Hub. The other thing that's worth looking at that's a great tool to help you get indexed is the SEO setup checklist. I was recently working with with a Wix user who has had a site for a few years, and she's not completed the Wix SEO setup checklist. So do spend some time making sure that you have completed this. If you haven't, then it's absolutely worth doing, because it has step-by-step instructions. It's dynamically updated. We update this constantly. We've added in AI features to this. We've added in keyword research features to this. So if you haven't visited the SEO setup checklist recently, please do, because it's definitely worth your time, and it'll save your progress. So as soon as you complete one thing, if you've got to step away and come back, that's fine. It'll save your progress, and it will help you move things over as well. And also offers recommendations for not just setting up, but ongoing SEO. This is something that the team spend a lot of time on, and we highly recommend putting it yourself, setting aside some time to work on this. The other thing about this is that as you complete the SEO setup checklist, it connects you to Google Search Console and will index your homepage. And after you do this, what you should do is to head over to Bing Webmaster Tools and also submit your website to Bing. And I say this, and I've said this for many years, this is really useful because when you go over to Bing, you can submit your website via Google Search Console with a single click. So once you've submitted to Google Search Console, you click import, and then that makes your website indexable, and submits it to DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Ecosia, Bing Chat, which works with ChatGPT, and all of that as well. So this is something that's super useful, and it will take you about 5 minutes to do. So it's an absolute win. Further, having a good understanding of multiple search engines can help you understand exactly how they all work together. And site verification. Okay, so site verification is something that's also really useful. And if you are using Bing, then let's say, so I was looking at a site today and I wasn't able to connect that one, and it said that it wasn't connected. So essentially what I did was I went to Bing. If you go to the next slide, Morty. And they have a little tag that says copy this tag and paste it into Wix. So what you would do is you copy that, and we have a section within the Wix SEO tools that says site verification, and you can paste that into it, and then you click verify, and then you're verified. If you were using a different kind of CMS, then you might have to ask your dev, you might have to book a ticket, you might have to do a bunch of stuff to get this sorted out. However, with Wix, we make it really simple for you. So you literally copy that little bit of code, paste it in, and then you're able to verify your site and get lots more of that data on your page. So the other thing is, oh, that looks like it needs to refresh. So yeah, the other thing is that that one needs to refresh that slide. Sorry. Finally, I had someone who asked within the section about the Wix SEO tools. And within the Wix SEO tools, you'd have to come out of it and go back into it, Morty, if you wanted to. Sorry, within the Wix SEO tools, you have lots of things that help you to get going on your SEO. So people are saying, how can I use indexing to rank? And if you use the Wix SEO tools, it will help you to rank. And finally, distribution tools. So one of the things that's really important with SEO and with indexing is to give them lots of signals. So particularly if you have a page that's stubborn to index, one of the things I like to do is to hype it up. So you can use different things like content distribution tools to help you to show different search engines that users are interested in this content, and that can include social signals, that can include email marketing, that can include lots of different elements. So make sure that you're sending relevancy signals to search engines and your followers. And if you would like some tips on how to get going with that, then have a look at the Content Distribution Toolkit, which is in the new Wix SEO Resource Center, which will give you lots of information there. And that is that.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you so much. And to all the people in the audience, thank you for bearing with me. I've had some challenges with Wi-Fi today.
Okay, so before I dive into the Q&A, a few things. One is we took your questions in advance to ask as part of our new feature of our webinars to ask the SEO expert. So I'll get to those in a minute. Can I get some of the Q&A questions from the actual Q&A box? But I want to address some of the questions that I've seen in the chat and in the Q&A itself really, really quickly for those of you who are familiar with indexing and ranking and crawling. This is going to be a really quick refresher for you. You probably already know it, but in case you don't, I'm just going to say it anyway. So what's the difference between crawling, indexing, and ranking? I'll put it like this. Let's say I own an art gallery. So I go around looking for the best art. And I might go to someone's garage and say, hey, you know what? That's a great painting. I'm going to put it in my gallery. That one, not so much. That's crawling. Going around and looking at the web and the content of what I want and what I don't want would be crawling. So I take this painting. I like it. I'm going to bring it back to my gallery. I'm storing it in my gallery. My page is now indexed. Now here comes my customer and they want to buy a painting. I have many paintings. And I say, you know what, based upon your taste or whatever it is, I'm going to show you this painting and see if you like it. That would be ranking. So crawlers go around, they look at the web, they see what's on the web, they read the web, and then they decide whether or not they should store it, because storing everything doesn't always make sense. A lot of pages aren't really meant to be indexed. They're not meant to be stored. So search engines like Bing and Google will decide to either index a page or not index a page. I'm going to answer the question beforehand, which makes it the case that not all of your pages need to be indexed necessarily. Now, once a page has been indexed, when someone does a search query, the search engine will say, well, let's run through my Rolodex here and let's look through the index and decide these are the pages that we're going to show. So just because something is indexed doesn't mean the search engine will show it or rank it when someone enters a query that's related to that page. hope that settles the or just gives an overview of the general gist of how it works.
And I
Okay.
think there was a question I saw. There's someone said, "How come my page isn't? How come I don't see my page ranking for my name?" When I've indexed it. And this is something that this comes back to the SEO tools. This is why I said, what are the things that you can do to rank your website? And it's like doing SEO. So basically I've seen websites where they don't have their name on their page. And if you don't have your name on your page, then you can't rank for your page, or the chances of you ranking for your name are lower than if you do have your name on the page. So I think it's important to remember that with the indexing tool, the indexing, is a sort of a technical thing. You have technical configurations, you have technical requirements, whether or not your page is indexable, right? Whether or not you have a status code that says this page is indexable. But in terms of ranking, in terms of deciding where to put the page, you have to give signals for that. Fabrice, I don't know if you want to jump in on this as well. But yeah, I think it's something that people struggle with, but you have to give signals in your, in lots of different parts of the page.
Yes. So step number one is really to have your content discover on the internet. I mean, we don't know if you publish a page, maybe, except again, if you're using Wix and IndexNow, but basically there is links out there that may be not discoverable, and it's tricky for all search engines to discover them. So
Yes.
assuming we discover them, the second problem is, should we select this link for crawling or not? Maybe there is 0 links or not. Every day I can tell you that we discover 70 billion distinct URL that we have never seen before.
Right.
It's huge.
Yes.
And I can assure you that this is a lot of links. And this amount of links, it's tricky for search engine because clearly we cannot crawl. You won't be happy if we crawl all these URLs. Maybe a lot of them are not important.
Right.
So next is really about selecting for search engine to select what they need to crawl. And this is again where you can provide useful hint via sitemaps and IndexNow to tell us, hey, please visit my content. Last is, as you said, this is if your content is not useful for search engine, we believe this is a junk pages because he has very little content, then we may not even index it. It's not because we are crawling that we will index these pages. So the next step is really to go to index. And then this is about ranking. This is about retrieving this content. And this is where your content matter, but also other content on the internet matter. If your content speak about YouTube, okay, you have very little chance, unfortunately for you, to surface at top position for the query YouTube. Because clearly the intent and to satisfy customer, we hope and we link to youtube.com at position 1.
Right.
So if you have a unique name, you can more likely be retrieved and indexed, assuming again that your name surface in the page. So to help you, there is really tools within Wix and within Google and Bing Webmaster Tool to audit. Is this URL index? Yes, no. Because if this is not indexed, you should look at why this URL is not indexed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also audit what we are indexing. I mean, you can do URL inspection to really see the content that is indexed and by Bing. Because if your name is not surfacing, then it kind of makes sense that this page is not surfacing.
Right. Right. And I think it's worth, the signals are super important, and making sure that you're giving the bots as many signals as possible. So within like your Wix setup, for instance, there's your title tag, there's your meta description, there's your page name, there's, the content of your page, there's the headings that you can add in there, there's your image with your image alt text, there's lots of things to give signals to tell them who you are. And if you're a bricks and mortar business, you can also update your schema markup to say the name of your business. You can update your business details to say the name of your business, and then it will have schema markup within your tools or within your website as well, which is another set of another tool for crawlers to better understand the content of your page.
Yeah, and I sometimes would say, like, look at it like you're a user, like you're your audience. is your page clearly understandable? Is it clearly digestible? Is the topic really understood? Does it really come through? Because if it doesn't, and it's a little bit muddy, what is this page really about? What's the purpose of the page? What's the main content of the page? Bots are going to have a hard time with that as well. And they might say, well, we don't really understand. We see it. Maybe your name is there. We see some other stuff there. We're not sure what this page is really about. It's not very explicit. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right.
So we're not going to index it. Be explicit if you can.
And I think the other thing I always recommend, particularly if you're trying to rank for your business name and for whatever reason you're not, like if you search your business name and your Facebook page comes up, put the URL, your URL on your Facebook page, put your URL on your LinkedIn page, put your URL on your Twitter account, put your URL on your YouTube account, connect all the dots and help them connect all the dots, because it will help them to understand. It will also mean that more people are clicking on that link who know you and who are more likely to come through to your website. And also when you launch your website, tell people, like tell your mom, send an email, send a group chat, like whatever, so that you get a little bit of traffic through there, so that it gives the bots a little bit of something to work with and gives them a little bit of some signals to work with, because they see the traffic. You know, these different tools will see some of this traffic, and it'll help them to better understand what your page is about.
Digital presence and digital momentum is very underrated. So we added a new feature to our webinars. We're calling it Ask the SEO Expert. You may have seen it when you signed up for the webinar. Well, this is the time we're going to ask the SEO expert, which in this case is Fabrice. So these are some questions that we took in advance about indexing and that I'm going to ask you. This comes from Adam Chapo. I apologize if I mispronounce anybody's name, but it's how can I expedite the indexing for my site? Are there ways to decrease the time it normally takes?
Yeah, well, use Wix Premium and have IndexNow.
Softball.
Clearly, what we see is that we are challenged by the scale of the internet. All search engines are challenged. There is a lot of links out there, a lot of information. And what we see is that content management system as Wix that have adopted IndexNow provide somehow a stellar signal telling search engine what changed on the site, added, updated, or deleted content. So clearly, search engine in this AI world, machine learning world, are able to understand that this signal is really, really good. And so then you prioritize crawling and visits based on this signal versus other things, other links you can discover on the internet. And so this is where this is clearly helping us, search engine, all search engine, to get good quality indexing, at least visit and review what you are telling us. We may still again decide to not index your content if this is a spammy website, if this is a spam website, but at least we are aware of relevant content change on your site. So clearly helping all search engine. So please adopt IndexNow or please use Wix Premium.
So the next question, thank you, Fabrice, comes from Al Silva. Al wants to know, what do you do when you followed all of the indexing issue advice, but your pages are still not being indexed?
So the first thing is really read Bing Webmaster Guidelines. You can look at Google Search Console guidelines, and you can look at other search engine guidelines. Overall, it's some of the same. I mean, help search engine to get your content crawled, indexed, and then pay attention to what may happen regarding to spam and things that may have your content excluded. So, because unfortunately, on the internet, there is a lot of spammy, junky, useless content. And we try to, at the end, fundamentally satisfy the user, not satisfy a spammer to get the content index. So we satisfy the Bing user and the Google user and other search engine user by not linking to link, malware, content, bad content that may hurt the customer. So this is all about really following the guidelines. And if you feel that you do it right, then start to investigate at URL level. So you go to Bing Webmaster Tool or Google Search Console, and you really play with URL inspection to see if your URL you care about is indexed or not. Because maybe you have a crawling issue on your URL. Maybe you have a no index tag on this URL that is preventing you to get the content index. So this is read the guidelines every quarter, semester. You have also information on Wix website to think about the content in general, but then zoom in to understand what's happening for the specific URL or your site, why this content is not indexed. And finally, when you have done all these things and you are still not indexed, there is support teams at Bing, Google, and elsewhere that can help you to really understand why this content is not indexed, because we are not perfect, we do mistakes, and we are welcoming feedback to improve.
So follow-up question to that, Fabrice. Let's say my website, I produce a lot of quality content for extended period of time. Will Bing look at that and say, hey, you know, we really feel confident in this website. We're going to be more likely to index this content?
True. So this is matter of fact. This is, again, you can speak about whatever you like, but fundamentally, this is we care about satisfying our Bing customer. And so will your content is important or not important? Again, let's go back to the example of YouTube. Maybe you are speaking about YouTube and you are just one of a million sites that are speaking about YouTube. Great. We discover this site and we say, okay, maybe this is important, maybe this is not important. But then we will start to think, oh, maybe this is something we should surface based on hint information that we may have about quality of your site. So we will crawl the site, we will at document level understand your site and at the whole site. But then we need to think broadly about, do we want really to surface this content in top position for the query YouTube? Clearly, we still want to link to youtube.com at top position, but maybe you have a chance to be at top position 2 or position 3 for this query. So again, this is over time, we will start to accumulate signal to tell us that this may be important content. And at some point, you will have a chance to, if you are very relevant content, to surface in top position.
So the next question from our Ask the SEO series, and maybe we'll move to the Q&A from the webinar itself after this, comes from, I love this name, SEO Lady. She would like to know, would an orphan page, meaning a page that doesn't have any links, or not linked to at all, from even on the website itself internally, have a harder time getting indexed if it doesn't get traffic and doesn't have backlinks?
Yeah, so first of all, this is if you use IndexNow or sitemaps, this link will be, again, discoverable. So you may have a hidden page on your site that is accessible only when you fill a form and when you do execute a search, and it's still okay. This is quality, potentially content, but at least via sitemaps and IndexNow, we will be aware of this link, and we may come to visit this link. Then this is again about retrieving this content. And think retrieving also a kind of an advertising mechanism. You want to have people speaking about you. Crystal, you were referring about, hey, maybe it's good to link your site via LinkedIn and your profile to speak about you. Yes, this is think about advertising. Think about if people search about Crystal and land on LinkedIn profile about Crystal, maybe they want to know more and they want to go to Crystal personal website. So if there is no link, think that this is hard time for your customer to find this Crystal page. And so fundamentally think about satisfying your user, first of all. Don't think about satisfying search engine. Satisfying the user will at the end accumulate links, clicks, and visits to your site. And obviously, as we want to satisfy the customer, we will obviously maybe prioritize these links versus other links we can find. So yeah, fundamentally links matter because else this is an orphan pages and we may still know about it, but maybe not to rank it to top position.
So let's dive from that. By the way, for our next webinar, which Crystal will plug at the end of this, keep an eye out for the Ask the SEO series and ask your questions in advance, and we'll try to feature your questions to our next guest at our next webinar. Now, moving to the Q&A here, we've been talking a lot about how do I get my pages indexed? How do I get my pages indexed? However, I've seen multiple questions being asked, how do I get my pages out of the index? I don't want them indexed anymore.
Yeah, so the first thing to first read the documentation on search engine, but here I will tell you a little bit more, obviously. So the first thing that people don't know really or do mistakes, except a class of people, this is don't use robot disallow rule to exclude your content in search engine, period. This robot is allow if you really want to not be linked. Robot is allow does not mean indexing. It just only mean crawling. To have your content removed from search engine, you have really two ways. One is to set the no index tag in your content to not have this content when we crawl it. So you have to allow it in robots to visit this content and to see the no index tag. Then this content will be drained from search engine. The second thing is just to protect this content via user password and other mechanism. So if you have a content that is your bank account thing, yes, obviously we don't want to index that. And obviously this is nobody should index that except you as a user. So you need to protect your content with user password. So two mechanisms, no index or a security mechanism to protect your content and to prevent search engine from accessing the content.
Crystal, do you want to add something, or should I move on to the next question?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing I would also add is that if you know that there's a link to it, that's on a popular page or something, try to get that link removed. So if there's somebody's blog is linking to that page, try to take it down. Also double check that you don't have any links on your page, like on your site, to that page. So what will sometimes happen is somebody will have something that's like a piece of gated content, like a downloadable brochure or something, and they have a link somewhere else on the site to that page. So check the backlinks on the internal links for that page, because that might be one of the reasons why it keeps popping up.
So one question we got, and this is a spicy topic on the Google side, does Bing index video content differently than text content?
So what's video content? First, videos as images are attached to pages, to web page. So you have kind of this nodule of an image can be in various web pages and something for video. So the only difference is that we still link, obviously, to images and to web pages, but this is in image or video vertical. And fundamentally, you need to have a web page indexed to have an image and video index. So step number one, make sure that your web pages hosting these images or video are indexed. And then search engine will come to visit these web pages and will discover images, make these images easily discoverable from in the web page. If you do craziness JavaScript things, they may be a trick for search engine. If you do basic things, this is always easier for search engine to index, to discover these video links and get them indexed.
So I think also just to piggyback on that and to address some of the other questions about video that were shown in the Q&A, there were changes made on the Google side relatively recently that only pages where the main content is a video will appear in the video results. So if you notice on Google, there's the main your default result page. There's one for images. There's one for video. To get on the tab for video, the main content on the page needs to be video. What people have basically seen across the web is that it's basically just YouTube at this point. So if you have perhaps had content that was getting traffic from that video tab, many people are not seeing that traffic anymore, and that's just simply because the changes that Google has made.
So to this, I would also add that with video indexing, and this comes back to a lot of indexing and crawling. So when people talk about crawling, this is web crawlers bouncing from link to link to link to link, right? So they're crawling from one link to another. So if you have video content and you're struggling with the indexing, make sure that the video page, or that the video itself, if you have it on YouTube, if you have it on another site, that in the description you also have the link to the blog that it's talking about. So let's say that it's about ice cream or something. You have a video about ice cream and you also wrote a blog about ice cream. Make sure that the link to the blog is also in the description for the video, that's pinned in the comment for the video, that you've optimized that video to send traffic to your blog. This will help the blog to rank independently. It will also help the video to rank. Also, when you think about, and this is also something we're thinking about, SERP features. SERP features on Bing and SERP features on Google are different. And it's worth thinking about those things. If you have the video that has a good thumbnail on it, your thumbnail may very well rank separately from your video in the indexing tab, or it might even rank on the main SERP as the sort of video excerpt. So make sure that you're thinking about all of the different component parts at once. But make sure that you're also always getting the links in there, not in a spammy way, but just in a sort of like Fabrice was saying, if I'm watching a video about ice cream and you say you've got this great ice cream recipe, I want to see the recipe. If you wrote it on a blog, put the link in under the video, because that's great for me. And I can, check out the recipe.
So last question, Fabrice, someone wanted to know how much time IndexNow saved. I think what they meant was, as opposed to the past where Bing had to come and crawl my content and it would come whatever frequency, on average, I don't know if you know this, but how much quicker is content now getting crawled and indexed relative to what it used to be?
Yeah, we know that. Obviously, we are monitoring this. Mean that with IndexNow, we are able to index a page within 30 seconds. So from the time you ping us to the time itself, this is for new content, we are extremely fast. And in terms of processing, downloading the page, processing it, and so on. So the 50 percentile is around 30 seconds. Makes, again, thank you for adopting IndexNow Wix and other websites that are adopting IndexNow, because fundamentally this is helping you and helping customer to find the latest content, very key for scenarios as news and other scenario where you really want to be number one.
I may as well thank you for helping develop it. So
We are welcome. Yep.
We just adopted what you did.
Well, that brings us to the end of a super fantastic webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, Fabrice. For people who want to learn more about IndexNow, please go to the Wix SEO Learning Hub. We have a fantastic article which has some interview questions from Fabrice. You can also check out the newsletter that he contributed to as well. And we also will be back next month with another fantastic webinar. We will be talking about automation and AI. And we hope that you'll be able to join us. So if you want to learn more about that, go to the Wix SEO Learning Hub. And you can see our next webinar. So that's at wix.com/SEO/learn/webinars. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Fabrice. Thank you, Mordy.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Fabrice.
Thank you all. Bye.
See you next time.